Since the initial edition of the Hyundai Nexo car was delivered to the general public in the year 2019, the firm has refrained from bringing any kind of upgrades or alterations to the automobile that they make. This has been the case ever since the vehicle was made accessible to the general public. You ought to be conscious of the fact that this particular aspect of the scenario has not been subjected to any changes or adjustments during the course of the planning process. Bringing this to your attention is something that ought to be done. To be more explicit, this is because the Nexo was introduced with a great degree of success following its launch, which is the reason for this. This is the reason for this. The following is an explanation on why this is the case. In the following explanation, a justification providing an explanation for why this is the case is presented. Furthermore, we are told to believe that a brand new model that has been remodeled is rapidly reaching the point where it will be made available for purchase on the market. This is something that we have been led to believe. This is something that we have the impression is taking place at the moment. This particular piece of information has been brought to our attention that we should consider. As a result of being led astray into believing that this is the truth, we are compelled to come face to face with this particular circumstance. In light of the fact that this particular piece of information has been brought to our attention, it is something that we ought to take into account. The idea that something comparable to this that has taken place in recent times is something that has actually taken place is something that we have been trained to believe the truth about. On the basis of what we have been told, we have come to believe this. We are led to believe that this is the situation, and it is supposed that this is the truth that lies under the surface. This is the assumption that we are led to make. The assumption that we are strongly encouraged to make is that this is the condition, and it is that this is the assumption. Due to the fact that the model change chain is the specific entity that is accountable for communicating this information to us, the difficulty that we are currently seeing is the result of this. Due to this particular cause, we have found ourselves in the circumstance that we are currently experiencing. The existence of this particular cause is directly responsible for the current position that we find ourselves in. We have arrived at this situation as a result of the circumstances that have transpired. The circumstance that we find ourselves in at this particular moment is exactly as described above. It is realistic to expect that the new model will be made available to the general public in the year 2026, once the process of constructing the new model has been successfully finished and received approval from the appropriate authorities. This is a more reasonable expectation than one might otherwise have in any other circumstance. Given the current state of affairs, it is reasonable to assume that this is the case. According to one interpretation of the phrase, a projection is said to be supported by evidence from the time before it happens when it is being discussed in this context. It is possible that this is due to the fact that the model of the organization has not been modified for a considerable amount of time, which is the reason for this. This is the reason for this. The explanation behind this is as follows. The following is an explanation on why this is the case. A rationale for why this is the case is provided in the following explanation. In the following explanation, a justification providing an explanation for why this is the case is presented. Presented in the following explanation is a justification that offers an explanation as to why this particular circumstance exists. This is the outcome that has transpired as a consequence of the conditions that have emerged about the situation. This is the result that has transpired as a consequence of the fact that the model has not been updated for a significant amount of time. This is the result that has actually taken place as a consequence of the scenario that has arisen as a result of the circumstances. This is the result that has transpired as a direct consequence of the scenario taken into consideration, taking into account the many components that have been present during the period of the problem. Following the announcement that a revised new model would be made available to the general public during the first quarter of 2026, specialists have confirmed that this will in fact be the case with the scenario once it is put into operation. This decision was made in response to the publicity surrounding the news. It was shortly after the statement was issued that this confirmation was sent out. As a direct consequence of the statement that the model would be made accessible to the general public, this event has taken place. In addition to the announcement that was made before this one, there will be another announcement made after. This one has been made, a reaction to the announcement that had been made earlier. This notification was given as a response to the announcement, taking into mind the fact that the announcement had already been sent to the individuals who were required to receive it. As a result of the findings of our investigation, we came to the realization that it is feasible for customers to start making pre-orders for the updated model as early as the end of the year. This was one of the conclusions that we reached. When the findings of our investigation were taken into consideration, we were able to come at this conclusion. It would appear that this is something that may be considered plausible, taking into mind the data that has been offered up until this point. However, there is no way to argue against the reality that this is a legitimate option. There is no way to contest this. This is an undeniable fact that leaves no room for debate. There is absolutely no way to stop this from happening in any manner, not even remotely. At the present moment, there is no practical approach that can be taken to safeguard oneself against it. We will continue to keep you updated on the most recent developments in the case, even after those decisions have been made, until the point where decisions are made about this subject. This will continue until the point where decisions are made. This will continue till the point where the issue is satisfied to everyone's satisfaction. To be more exact, this is because the company has not yet recognized or dismissed the facts that are in question. This is the fact that is responsible for this situation. The following is an explanation on why this is the case. This is the rationale that is stated to be the reason for it within the context of this situation. It has been decided that the Hyundai Nexo is anticipated to make its appearance to the general public for the very first time in the year 2026. This decision was made after taking into consideration the information that is available to the general public. This decision was made more accessible to the general public in order to provide them with the opportunity to benefit from it. It was possible to arrive at this conclusion by making use of the information that was available to one from the beginning of the process. There is evidence that the year that is being discussed at this very moment is the same year that is being discussed at this very moment, according to the material that has been provided. Each of the two separate trim levels that are available for the Hyundai Nexo has a starting price of approximately $80,000. The Hyundai Nexo is available in two different trim levels. You have the ability to customize one of these trim levels. Both of these trim levels are available for purchase through the Hyundai Nexo sales channel, where they are for sale.